at the same time, there's still a few things you can't skip, and we'll get to that. And we're doing a glitchless, which, sorry, no out of bounds. It's not glitchless, which means we can't use certain shenanigans to, say, just fly everywhere past things. So you still have to do pretty much all of the game as you would normally if you played pirate mode. It's just that a lot of things you could collect out of order completely intentionally.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, the race is underway. So players will be going through a few rooms at the start here, choosing to kill a number of guards depending on how many gems they have or how lucky they feel with some item drops.
And right off the bat, you might have seen that they got an auto potion and a pike ball. That pike ball is going to be used shortly. Oh, CakeSauc3 got a monster milk, which is actually very good to get right away.
Yeah, and that's really, really rare to get, but it'll be interesting to see if he decides to use it on the first boss to get a 2 cycle instead of the usual 3.
Yeah, that definitely would be a good strategy. The first boss could have extremely trolly RNG.
CakeSauc3 taking a fall there on the bridge, accidentally bonking against the wall and falling down the hole, that's going to cost them a little bit of time.
Though, when you fall down, you just lose a quarter heart of health and go back to the beginning of the screen. It's not a huge time loss, but it's still a time loss.
So neither player using their pike ball there. So what you players would usually do is use their pike ball coming into this bridge room, which will activate it a little bit early, and the pike ball will also then last into the boss. So it'll be interesting to see what these players have in mind.
It doesn't save that much time, but it does save a little. However, if the ammo baron goes a little slower than normal, having the pike ball can help kill a cycle. So it could actually be in their favor to not use it earlier.
Yeah, and Zic3 getting extremely lucky there and getting first phase just 1 red cannonball.
Right, he can either charge or not charge, and he can use, I believe it's up to 2 cannonballs, but possibly none before you hitting the red.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, somewhere between 2 and 1. So unfortunately, Cake did use the monster milk, but did not get the 1 cycle.
Still only finishing a few seconds later.
Yeah, so both players are neck and neck after that fight, which is generally how you'd expect to see it this early on in the run.
And that's the last we're going to see of that area, because that intro is just the intro. It doesn't happen again. And we're going to go to the main hub after the series of cutscenes, which is pretty amusing because Shantae gets in the bathtub, but she doesn't actually have a bathtub and doesn't realize it when she's taking a bath. One wonders how that happens.
Yeah, she doesn't seem the smartest at times, but she gets things done. So can't complain too much. Yeah, what was interesting about the Ammo Baron fight is that Zic did decide to use his pike ball on it, but CakeSauc3 did not. So he just uses Monster Milk. So it'll be interesting to see what Cake is saving that for. Probably through the run back in the next area for some more gems.
Now we're going to fight this Cacklebat, which is a forced encounter. In the main game, you can fight up to 20, and if you get all 20 dark magics that they drop, you'll be able to unlock the real final boss and true ending. But as this is any percent, not going to happen, so no more Cacklebats.
Yeah, we'll come across one later on, but the runners won't kill it, they'll just leave it be. Yeah, a good fight from both runners there.
Actually, we probably see like about 3 others. I know there's Run Rowdy Tops, and then there's the one that you pass that's sort of standing around right by the spit guy.
So the player's just doing a couple of things they have to do before they leave town. They have to get a library card off Sky, and then they have to do the only mandatory save of the game.
Right, both this and Risky's Revenge, they force you to save before leaving, and it's a thing that is the thing, but Otherwise, they won't have to save, and there's no autosave. So, excuse me. Anytime they die, they will go back to the last save, and if they don't save except for this, well, that could lose them the race, basically, if they die. However, there's plenty of places on the way that it only takes a couple seconds to, so the safety save strategy is not necessarily a bad one.
So running through that area both players just went through, they were killing enemies hoping for drops. Both of them got a regular pike ball. Don't think they got anything else though, so just a pike ball for each of them.
And now they have to collect 3 of these flesh pops, and they're using a sort of glitch to put themselves between the ceiling and the enemy, which can sometimes lead to multiple drops at once. It's and you'll see it a bit later to kill a boss really quickly.
Yeah, so it looked like Cake there, I think he got 5 total flesh pops, so if he chooses to, he can use the additional ones for an animation skip, which when you pick up an item on the floor, if you use a food item as you're picking it up, you'll do the food animation instead of the picking up animation, which is slightly quicker.
And there you can see a nice sequence break facilitated by Pirate Mode, the brochure that they picked up and now are giving the Squid Baron. You can't actually get that until after the first dungeon if you play it normally. And now going to get the map, and then they'll head back to town after that.
Yeah, so also on the way back to town, they'll be passing through the same ones as before. In the first room they get to going back, there are 3 orcs. Normally you can't kill them charging through them back, you don't do enough damage yet. But if players choose to use a pike ball here, they can kill them, and we'll be hoping for some additional drops. So it'll be interesting to see if either player decides to do that.
I have not seen anyone ever do that, but that's an interesting strategy.
Yeah, so Cake is not choosing to use either of his 2 pike balls he has to kill these 3 enemies.
And note that hitting the enemies does take a little bit of time, so the only real reason to do it is if you're looking for drops.
So Cake is currently a few screens ahead, but that's not much at all in this run. Oh, and getting a super pike ball on the way back, that is a very, very fortunate drop. So you normally purchase one of those in your first shopping trip, which comes up in a moment, but you could choose not to purchase it and save that money for later, or you could go ahead and purchase it and not worry about another super pike ball later on.
And speaking of money, by returning the library card, you get 100 monies, as they say. This is actually the only place in the entire series, I believe, unless I'm forgetting something in Half GD Hero, where they actually mention the denomination name, which they call monies. We tend to just call them gems, though, because, you know, they're gems.
Yeah, so in the shop there's Zic going for the usual 3 pirate flares. Pirate flares will let you return to your boat at any moment, which saves a lot of time, and a super pike ball, while Cake picked up 3 potions along with the 3 pirate flares, so we did indeed skip the super pike ball. What he'll be using those potions for is the same as I explained earlier with the food drops. You can use them to do animation skips.
Or you could use them in case you're in trouble. That can happen too.
That as well. So both players are now on the second island of the game, Saliva Island. They'll be collecting a few items here before heading into the dungeon.
And as Cake gets the hamstick, he's now going to move up and skipping a huge area where you would normally have to traverse back and forth, doing a lot of platforming, but Pirate Mode, we can just cannon right up.
So what you see Cake did there, you see pause and unpause 3 times in rapid succession. For some reason, doing this skips, say, animation on the Gigalummox there, stops him blinking, which saves a few seconds.
And now you fall down and you get this Petrify spell, which will be used in a second to open the first dungeon.
Yeah, so both players still extremely close together, almost 10 minutes into the run.
Oh, and we haven't explained, one interesting thing you may have noticed is that a thing we call the risky shuffle, where you hold the stick or the D-pad on left or right, and move back and forth with the other one, and you basically can do a short charge. Zic just did it right there. That allows you to do a charge in a very short area, sometimes being able to bypass things where you wouldn't normally, even when the game expects you to have the boots.
Yeah, it's very, very handy in the speedrun. And to answer your question in chat, the reason they're not glitching into the dungeon is this is a no out of bounds run. So in an out of bounds run, I believe you glitch into the dungeon entrance there. However, in no out of bounds, players aren't for that.
In out of bounds, you just go right away. You don't even collect the spell. You don't do Gigalummox, none of that. CakeSauc3 now is in what is a sort of little bonus mini dungeon that is modeled after the Spittle Maze in the original Shantae GBC game. The reason for this is you can get a pair of keys, which you can use anywhere in the game. Keys are not dungeon locked, and this will save a lot of time later because they're very easy to get keys, rather than having to fight a bunch of enemies or whatnot way out of the way.
So you can see Cake there using his potion as he picks up the key, and that saves the picking up animation instead, plays the potion drinking animation instead, which is a lot quicker. And
then doing a quick death warp to go right back to the entrance and out of there. Oh, picking up a monster milk. That's a good pickup.
Yeah, his second one so far, which is extremely lucky. And Zic nearly falling down there, but managing to save it just about. If it had fallen down, he would have walked back to the start of the room, which isn't quite what he wants to do yet. Nope, yeah, Cake having really good luck so far. Pretty much every single drop he could have wanted, he's had.
Well, you can actually get a pirate flare from the skeletons, but scarecrows, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, from the orcs, but everything else, what you can normally expect to be good, not insane, RNG has had. So yeah, he's using his monster milk here while he fights these wet men, and then also that monster milk, will continue over onto the boss and help speed up that as well.
And using the scimitar instead of the cannon, because the scimitar will hit both of them at the same time, it's much quicker.
So Cake now entering the boss of this dungeon, who is Cyclops Plant. So, as mentioned earlier, you'll see him get stuck between the ceiling and the enemy, bounce off them multiple times to do damage in rapid succession.
To answer the point in chat, yes, Way Forward is absolutely amazing at their sprite work. Even in the GBC game, it's one of the best looking GBC sprite works there ever was.
So Cake having a bit of trouble here with the second phase, but with the monster milk, that should be no trouble at all for him as Zic is entering the boss fight.
Ooh, Zic falling. That can be a really tight jump there. You have to comment from exactly the right angle or you'll get hit by the hitbox. It's a little finicky.
Yeah, thankfully not a huge time loss if you don't get it first try, but yeah, it can be a bit finicky to get it. So Cake now picking up the map for the second island, and he's heading his way back to the boat. The reason he's not using a pirate flare here is that it doesn't save that much time compared to the other dungeons, and you don't have enough money to buy an extra one, so just choose to skip using it.
Right, the pirate flare route, as it were, is pretty much set in this, so unless you get an extra one from a drop, which is certainly not, as I said before, certainly a possibility. There's a couple places where you simply just speed back to the island, speed back to the boat, and it's simply quicker than farming the money that you would be required to buy more.
So Cake here picking up a fossil, which is normally, as you're playing through the game casually, you'd have to pick this up a lot later, but fortunately, as we already have the items we need to pick it up, we will collect it now, saving time later on.
Right, so you never have to come back up this area, since you can just get that now.
So Cake's about to enter everyone's favourite part of the game, Run Run Rotty Tops.
Which people are comparing to an auto-scroller. It isn't really, but it... Effectively, what happens is you're having an invincible, infinite number of health, but every time you get hit, as within, say, you hit spikes in the normal game, you get sent back to the beginning of the room, which can be a time loss, especially in the final room, which is quite long.
Yeah, so Zic having a little trouble climbing up there. He's in the room with some ghosts. The way that room works is the ghost can spawn in a number of set positions, but you don't know what position each specific ghost will spawn in during that run, so it changes from run to run, really.
Yeah, those ghosts can be really annoying, and once you get knocked back, they can pile on, and it can be a mess.
Yeah, and you see him there getting hit by another ghost, unfortunately. Yeah, Cake's made very good work of Run Run Rotty Top so far. He's managed, I think he did all the ton skips. And I don't think he got gatekeepered once either, so very nice by him thus far.
Cake doing very good. The tongue room, no problem. We'll see how he does in a couple of the other annoying rooms.
Yeah, so the reason this gets compared to an auto-scroller is, as you can see, there are a lot of cycles you have to wait for. You can't get past this spike, for example. You have to wait for it to go and wait for the next one. So in most streams, there's very little time you can actually gain yourself, and you're just waiting for things to happen.
Yes, that's true. If you don't get hit, it's not a huge difference between the best time and a... I want to say worst time, but you know. There's very little time you can save.
Yeah, definitely. And in the room Cake's in now, these gravestones. So we know which gravestones are going to come alive, but we don't know if... Well, we don't know when they're going to come alive. We just know which ones could, and we don't know what direction they're going to go in.
Occasionally, they can come alive right as you pass them, so you need to jump over the ones you know might come alive. But even then, it can still hit you. It can be annoying at times.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that if you land between them, they can both move towards you at the same time and pinch you in, and it can become very, very tricky to move out the way in time.
And Zic so far looks like he's doing pretty good too.
Yeah, neither player having huge trouble throughout.
Actually, 17 Bird, we were just talking in the chat about why that's probably not possible. The way they've coded the links and the zones and everything.
Yeah, I've been looking a bit into it today, see if there is a way to skip this section. It doesn't. Yeah, it might not be possible, but it would be good if it did, because this section is quite boring, to be perfectly honest, but still fun to look at and play through. Oh, and Cake jumping into a Steven.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun concept. I mean, I really enjoyed it my first couple times, but after that, it's just like, oh, this again.
Yeah, it's my favourite section of the game casually, but now that I run it, it becomes a bit long. Cake making his way through the Steven's room and the gates. Unfortunately, the gates were closed for him. He's on the last room now, which is basically an amalgamation of all the mechanics you've seen so far throughout Run Run Rotty Tops.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's also what happens if you get hit at the end, and you still have to go through all of it again. So you got to be really careful. I think in my first try, it took me about 20 times to get through this one, because it's just throwing everything at you, and if you don't know the patterns, it's just hard to... But Cake getting through it pretty easily.
Yeah, and he's making a really good time so far throughout the run, so yeah. It's a good time for leaving Run Run Rotty Tops.
And then we find out that Risky was faking it and she was just lazy. Sorry, Rotty Tops.
Yeah, so Zic getting the gates were open for Zic, so he gets a slightly quicker cycle throughout that room, catching up a little bit of time. So Cake handing in an item we picked up all the way on the first island when we were first there, the squid oil, which then lets Poe here, I believe he is, get his cart up and working again.
So in chat, Maxim Sea Dog asked, how much did you miss out if you play this one first? Not that much. There is an underlying story that runs through all the games, but really all you need to know is that in the previous game, Shantae lost her magic, and so now she has to use her human or possibly enhanced human powers along with Risky's tools to win rather than her genie powers.
Zic having a little trouble in this final room. We got right to the end and got unfortunate luck with the getting stuck between some gravestones and the tongue. Then on a second time through, got hit by a hand, so took another death there, unfortunately.
And Cake now in the second dungeon, which will go really pretty quickly because with the keys we've already picked up, although he's going to pick up this one first out of the way because it's also a good chance of getting a drop from this Batgirl that he's about to fight.
Yes, there's two additional keys we could have picked up. There's this one that Cake's getting, or there was one in the first dungeon we could have picked up. Both of them about the same time-wise, and Cake getting another super pipe ball, that's very good luck. But yeah, could have got one in the first dungeon, but most players choose to get the one here instead because of the additional drop chance.
And now we can just go straight back up and pretty much head right to the boss. After picking up a couple more keys. Or one key, whatever it is.
So Zic just finishing up the final couple of things he needs to do before he can enter the dungeon.
And here, Cake is showing pirate mode being even quicker, even though you still have the hat to go up, it's still quicker to use the cannon. Normally you would have to go through, find these 3 Tesla coil things. It takes quite a while, but no, pirate mode, you can just hop right up.
Yep, so Cake entering the next boss fight, Emperor Spider. He's using the super pipe balls for this. So what he's probably going to do is he's going to try and jump up, get in the boss's hitbox, and if you happen to be whipping around the same time as you get hit, you don't get knocked back, your jump gets reset, and you can basically just stay in the enemy's hitbox and get a lot of damage off.
Doing pretty well so far.
Yeah, a couple of issues, but it's still a really, really good boss fight, and there we go, Emperor Spider is down, a very nice boss fight indeed.
And Zic having a little trouble, looks like trying to get a risky shuffle off to kill those skeletons, but...
See Zic using a regular pipe ball here as Cake did, which just pretty much guarantees you'll get a 3 cycle here. Although just missing. But he gets a super monster milk, which is the best drop you can possibly get there. So very nice for him.
Yeah, those drops, the super monster milk is a great one to have. It means less grinding, which you have to kind of choose to decide, do you want to grind or do you want to risk getting a drop later from these scorpion girls that you're about to see on Tan Line Island. Cake is about to come up. They have a chance of dropping a super monster milk, a super pike ball, or gems. And you do get 2 that you're forced to fight later, but after that, you're not going to be coming back to Tan Line to fight them at all. So you have to make the decision, do you want to grind, or do you want to risk getting a drop chance later?
Yeah, so he's choosing to skip this first Scorp Gal, although he did get a regular monster milk from the cactus enemies on his way through.
And I don't think either player has gotten a bubble shield yet. That's another drop to look for.
Yeah, Tan Line Island's really the last chance to get the majority of item drops. After that you can get them, but they're a bit out of the way and it's preferable to already have everything sorted by then. So Cake having to do a little bit of backtracking now. He needs to go look up 3 sarcophagi and get some codes off them to open the next part of the game. So You'll be travelling to Saliva Island, then be going back to the original town before heading back to Town Line.
Yeah, and you're going to see this is one of the one of the 3 places that the pirate player is really useful and how quickly it can get. Well, maybe 4 places, but you know, you have to go through all that just to get all the way down here, and then he's going to just pop right back to the ship.
Yeah, Zic having a fairly good Emperor Spider fight. He's taking it a little bit easy, especially now he's got low health, because he doesn't want to use up that auto potion, but it's still a good fight, and Emperor Spider should be dead any second, and there we go.
And now going into Sky's place to get the next sarcophagus, because apparently her father found one. And then, well, you'll see what happens in a second. Yep, Barracuda Joe gets turned to stone for some reason. Shantae keeps going like she just don't care.
So it'll be interesting what Cake decides to buy on the shop here. So as he's picked up only 3 pirate flares and a monster milk, that means he's definitely going to have to come back and do another shop, as he needs another 2 pirate flares ideally.
And now Cake is going to get the 3rd sarcophagus, as well as take a small... It's not a detour, but he's going to cross this bridge with a lot of skeletons who can drop plenty of pike balls, if you're lucky. But sometimes they don't give any. This is the way the game goes. There's one.
And Zic choosing to kill the Scorp Gal here and gets rewarded with a super pike ball. Very nice.
And this blade will be very important for later. This is the best time to get it, obviously. There's another pike. Oh, see? Look at that. 3 pike balls and a super. That was some good luck for Cake.
Yeah, so with the super pipe ball he got earlier, I think that brings him up to 2 now, so that's very good for him. And then you can see, after getting all 3 sarcophagus, you get a code. In this case, Lion Bird Bird, I believe it was. So he needs to use this to enter the next dungeon.
Right.
Next area anyway.
With all those extra pike balls, he can probably use them to save time in a few spots that he so chooses. Such as, I can think of one good place, but we'll see what he...
There we go, Cake inputting his code, which then lets him get into Town Line Temple, which is an interesting section of the game. So this is effectively a stealth section. You have to go through a number of rooms without being seen by some guards, and it'll also be the keys we collected earlier on as well. We'll get to use those.
Yes, and also be dressed like a space princess. If you are seen by the guard, you're basically sent back to that first room where you started, and that could be a huge time loss. Good thing is, with the sequence breaking we did before by collecting all those keys, you really only have to go through the first section, because then you could just open the 3 keys that you're supposed to find otherwise. You get 1 right here, but the other 2 are quite out of the way, including another stealth section.
So Cake going for quick strat here. Oh, and get seen! That's going to be a huge time loss there. I think about 40 seconds or so, I believe, getting caught there. Maybe a bit more even. So it'll be interesting to see if he takes it easier on his way through or not this time round.
That is definitely unfortunate, but he's still quite ahead for now.
Yeah, chat saying it's about a 50-second time loss from there. Not what you want in the middle of a run.
No, but again, if you were doing, say, normal mode, you would have to go through even more of this, and if you get caught there, well, that's a huge, huge time loss.
Yeah, definitely. Going for the same strategy and getting it this time, no problem.
Yeah, casually this room can be very confusing. I know it took me forever to figure out that you could hide in those doorways.
And Zic picking up a bubble shield and a monster milk on his second time through the cactus room, so that is very nice for him. That'll be the one bubble shield he needs, although another one can be useful. And the super pipe ball as well as way through the skeletons. So yeah, you see KK using the keys to get into these rooms that otherwise you'd have to go far out of your way for.
Yeah, and actually if you were playing a mode where you collect the squids, you would still actually have to go out of the way just to collect the one squid. But thankfully this is any %, so we can just piece right out of here after rescuing the other 3 lovely ladies.
Yeah, so Zic picking up another super pipe ball on his way back through the skeleton room, so he's been getting good luck with drops so far. See if the Scorpio drops anything, and it does. Another super pipe ball, so I think he's good on super pipe balls now. I think that makes 4, which would be all he needs for the rest of the bosses throughout the run. So as Cake's being done with the temple, Zic's about to head in.
And getting this pickaxe so we can continue on. From the very much not looking like any of the ladies that were captured princess.
So if Cake wants to, he has a couple more chances coming up to kill some Scorpions if he does feel like he's light on drops, but I imagine he'll just go straight past them.
Yeah, as I said before, you have to make this decision, is it worth it? Usually I think the most popular one to kill is the one right here that he's about to skip.
Zic having no trouble there with the chain skip. Very nice to see.
And once again, the beauty of pirate mode is you can just go right this way and go right down right into the final stretch of the dungeon because you already have the means of getting through this little maze here. Normally you'd have to go around and get the scimitar, which takes quite a while. But nope, just go right through this.
Cake getting another monster milk there, which is very nice. So he didn't get a bubble shield, and I believe that's the last chance to get one as a drop, so he has to remember to set aside 25 gems to get one next time he shops.
And here are the 2 fourth Scorp girls. He got another super pipe ball. That's more than enough now.
Yeah, I think that might take him up to 4 as well, or at least 3. He had been hoping for a super monster milk drop there, but I'm banging his head against the crusher, so unfortunately just missing the 1 cycle.
1 cycle is very tight. Sometimes you just want to be safe anyway and not even bother.
Yeah, the setup for the 1 cycle involves the very accurate butt wiggle counting. Only in Shantae.
And about to go in to fight everyone's favorite mid-boss, the Squid Baron.
Yeah, so it looked like he had 3 super pipe balls, 1 super monster milk, and 2 regular monster milks, one of which he's used here. So yeah, ideal time to kill Squid Baron there. So the way Squid Baron works, he has 2 phases. He goes through a different number of attacks in each phase, depending when you kill him, in which attack cycle you kill him, will depend when he starts the next phase. And by killing him when he did in the first phase, as soon as you break open his shell in the second phase, will go into his eating phase. I'm saying phase a lot, and then you should be able to get a quicker kill.
Yes, you can just wail on him while he's eating, and he doesn't do anything. So, and CakeSauc3 has the Squid Baron down without any real difficulty. And now, before he heads on to the next island, he's going to have to remember to go get the death mask, which is definitely one of those things that people can forget, and it does lose a lot of time if you forget it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to go back to the first island to pick up the death mask, and if you forget to do that, you have to traverse through a very difficult section casually and still not very easy speed running it. You have to traverse through that again. And Zic getting another super monster milk off the Scorpions. I think he's had a 100% drop rate from the 3 kills so far. That's very, very lucky indeed. So yeah, Cake remembering to go hand in the fossil, which we picked up on Spiderweb Island. And the X-ray specs over to Bolo, and in return we'll get the Death Mask, which he needs to enter the next area. And Zic getting another regular monster milk from the cactuses here, and another, and another.
Yeah, Zic's been gotten quite a load. And Cake's about to go through the Mudbog Island. This is actually a very tricky run. If you mess up and jump at just the wrong time, you will be you can get hit. You can get into a position where you can't really get back into a run. It's one of those things you really just need to practice timing.
Yeah, it's very easy if you get hit, especially in that secondary, and that you just get swarmed by enemies and lose a lot of health. As Zic having a little trouble with this room, and continuing his 100% Scorpion kill ratio. Unfortunately, the last one ruined it by only dropping a gem. But he did get Super Monster Milk, which I think he might be good for drops now for the rest of the run.
He didn't get a bubble shield, did he?
He got one on his way back through from the cactuses.
Oh.
So he's got a bubble shield. Cake does not.
And now Cake's going to collect these 3 coins in different colors. Still doing the trick of the... Oh, never mind.
Yeah, so Cake using the extra flesh pops and food he got earlier to do some animation skips there. So Zic having no trouble with Squid Baron so far. Yep, perfect timing for the second phase there, so Squid Baron should be dead just about as he finishes eating. That's a very, very nice kill indeed by Zic.
Yeah, but Cake's really having a great run, and except for that faux pas in the palace, and is quite a ways ahead at the moment. But even if neither die, Zic can still catch up if a couple things go wrong for Cake, but we'll see. Those ghosts being annoying as always. And here's one place that catch up could happen. We're about to do the true false, the heads tails minigame. And basically how this works is we don't know if they're going to choose heads or tails.
Cake gets one cycle, wow, that's really good.
But what happens is, if you lose 3 times, the game will let you automatically win after that. However, you really just don't know. It's completely random.
So Zic doing an additional shot. What's he going to pick up? Just 1 pirate flare, so I assume that's the last one he needs, and he's done shopping for the run.
Now after collecting the Manly Musk, you can go open the dungeon here. And once again, it's going to be a nice quick run through the dungeon because in this case, it's not even a matter of pirate mode, but with the risky shuffle, you can skip a whole lot of traversing around everywhere, opening, positioning these platforms that move up and down. But the devs did not intend you to be able to run in such a short period, so they put a block in the way that you can just kill with the risky shuffle and get done really quick.
Zic working his way through here, Mudbog Islands, having no issues at all. On to the last room now, and yeah, he would be done with that. No problems, very nice by him. So Cake now about to fight the next boss, Dagron, who's an interesting boss fight.
He's also a massively misspelled monstrosity, but you know.
He's definitely not a dragon of any kind. Yeah, so Cake having one super monster milk, one super pike ball left after this boss. So yeah, he'll imagine he'll be going to the shop to purchase some more. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what he decides to go with.
And Dagron here, you have to hit him at just the right time to knock him back, and then you can hit him more. If he hits you, it can often cause you to just lose your... It can be a mess if he hits you, basically.
Yeah, but that was a very, very nice fight by Cake. Considering the resources he was using, not using a super monster milk. I think that's about as good as it goes with a regular monster milk.
Oh yeah.
So as you've probably seen by now, players will use a pirate flare as soon as they get out of a dungeon. Unfortunately, the Village of Lost Souls still counts as inside, so you can't use your pirate flare until you're get out of this area. So a little bit of backtracking, but they'll use a pirate flare at any moment.
Pirate flare activated.
Yes, thankfully you don't have to go through that mess in Mudbog Island again, because that would be pretty bad. Have to go backwards through that. That might actually be pretty annoying.
Yeah, I know. I hated having to do that casually when I got to the entrance and found out I needed to go get another item.
I think my first playthrough I actually had it already, so... But I've been known to forget it in subsequent playthroughs. Now I'm doing Frostbite Island, which, as long as you actually know where to jump and keeping your speed, it's not that big a deal. But if you do mess up and accidentally get hit by a wolf, well, that's 6 damage, and you only have 8 damage total, so it can be a bad time.
Yeah, so Cake not choosing to kill the wolves out here, it looks like. They do have a small chance of dropping either a super monster milk or a super pike ball, as well as some gems, but he's just choosing to ignore them all. Clearly he's not struggling, hurting too much for items. He must feel comfortable with what he has currently.
Well, he certainly has enough money to buy more.
So I believe he's still 2 pirate flares down, so that's 60. And then he needs a bubble shield as well, which is 25. So that's 85 gems gone, and then the rest he has to spend as he wishes on items.
Right,
So
and Super Monster Milk is 90, I think?
75, and Super Pike is 40.
Oh.
So Zic about to enter the Oubliette of Suffering here.
And while Cake is making his way through Propeller Town, which isn't really a town, but normally you're not supposed to have a cannon, so you have to use this wind. And as you can see, though, we still, in some places, still have to use the wind, and need to avoid those spiky platforms, because as normal, if you get hit one, you'll get sent back to the beginning of the room, and that can be a definite time loss.
Yeah, so yeah, you can use the cannon to speed up a little thing. Little bits here and there, which we'll see in the next room that Cake's coming into now. So yeah, by going left there and using his cannon, he skips a little bit of time there by him to go around with the on the wind normally.
And not to mention having a lot less chance of actually hitting those things, which you don't want.
So Cake doing the final item collection of the game, so he has to go back to a couple islands, get some items before opening up the final dungeon of the game.
Well, meanwhile, Zic is on Dagron. Let's see how he does. Yes, Cake is ahead by quite a bit right now, actually.
When Zic getting unlucky and not quite getting the hits on Dagon. Dagon can be very difficult if you get hit once. He can very easily combo you and get you out of position. But he's recovered well.
And this
Dagon
is the
should
other
be
thing.
dead.
And this is the other thing that players probably tend to forget most is getting this lost soul, or giving the lost soul to trade for the Spirit of Joe, which you need. And then right then you can trade the Death Mask in for a Pirate Flare, so that save a nice money of buying a Pirate Flare otherwise.
Yeah, so say in chat, Cake is ahead at the moment.
However, neither player has saved, so do consider that.
Cake accidentally going to the wrong island, accidentally going to Saliva Island, and thankfully realising it before he got too far away from the boat. So Cake there buying 2 Pirate Flares, 3 potions, a regular Monster Milk, as well as the Bubble Shield he needs.
And now Cake's going to perhaps what is the best thing about this game ever in a minute, but that's in a minute.
So Zic heading to Frostbite Island now, so he's a few minutes behind Cake, but anything can happen.
And Cake giving the blade to this interesting man who immediately, well, turns into He-Man. Or maybe Chinese knockoff He-Man, whatever you want to call it. Grand son.
He-Man's just a Chinese knockoff Branson.
Perhaps. And now going in, and with that Spirit of Joe, you can, well, revive Barracuda Joe. Which now, since he's one of the Ammo Baron's men, Ammo Baron wants to shoot down the palace, but since Bolo is the one who made the module, well, this is what happens.
Unfortunately, calibrated to shoot at Frostbite Island instead, but fortunately for us, that will open up the final dungeon of the game.
Meanwhile, Zic is over at Propeller Town and making his way up.
Cake about to head into the final dungeon, so he'll use those 3 potions he bought here to collect 3 keys and use the animation skip. Use the potions for animation skips for all 3 keys.
Yes, and once again, you'll see, even though this is the final dungeon, Pirate Mode allows you to do some things with the cannon, go to this room early, and on top of the keys we already collected earlier, means you can skip most of the dungeon here as well. Already going right into the final area here.
Yeah, so you usually get the cannon in this dungeon normally, but because you already have it, we can basically skip the first half of the dungeon. When Zic taking an unfortunate fall there. So Zic avoiding the ice block there, which if it lands on you, can send you back to the beginning of the room, which is never fun.
You mean Cake, but yeah.
Cake,
that's what, yeah. And now Cake fighting Steel Maggot, who's probably the worst RNG boss. Basically, you have to hit those 3 bubbles on the top in order. We don't know what the order is, but him getting a really lucky first try.
Yeah, really rare to get the pattern right first time. But he now knows what the pattern is for this try as well, so it'll be a very, very nice Steel Maggot kill if he can hit the correct bubble.
Yes. And if you miss, that thing spreads out, and players will often use a bubble shield here if they have an extra, because that'll save you from having to duck. But otherwise, not a bad Steel Maggot fight.
Yeah, that was a really solid Steel Maggot fight from Cake here. So Zic just doing his last bit of backtracking now as well.
Tinkerbats. Hmm. Oh yeah. Flare activated.
So Cake using his final pirate flare to head back to the boat to go to the last island, the Lonely Grave.
And this is the last island, but it's not much. Well, basically, it's a cutscene. And not doing the swag, but that does actually technically waste a couple seconds, so there's no reason to do it.
Nor is he taking his anger out on the bird, so... Going for a very, very boring last island.
Yeah, especially with cutscene skip, but it did release the final boss, and now going back to Scuttle Town, where everything is now dark, because the Pirate Master has taken over.
And Zic picking up a monster milk on his way through Scarecrow Fields. Don't think it matters at this point, but yeah, he's had insane. Both the players have had really good drop luck throughout the run, actually.
Now Cake is about to go through the final dungeon, which is actually very easy because even though this is no out of bounds, you can still skip through this with a specific combination of using the cannon and the hat to push yourself up very slightly. Cake getting it really easily too. Oh, no, missing that one. But what happens is if you use the hat, it pushes you up just a couple pixels so that you can just barely reach that top that you weren't supposed to.
Yeah, it's a very precise trick. You have to do your cannons at the precise height, your hat at precise moment. It can be fiddly to get, but once you get the rhythm down, it's not too bad. And Cake, that was, yeah, a very nice climb by Cake. Couple mishaps, but nothing big. So he's about to go into the final fight against Pirate Master.
Is there no? There's no category that you would basically have to fight through the Pirate Master trials. At least not one that anyone actually has run.
What anyone would want to run. Because those rooms aren't fun.
Well, they're fun, but they're not fun to do over and over.
So yeah, Cake only using a regular monster milk here, but he does have super spike balls, and more importantly, he does have that bubble shield, so Pirate Master shouldn't be any trouble at all here for him. Yes,
those bubbles, if they actually hit you, will do 8 hearts of damage, and well, you have 8 hearts. Unfortunately, getting hit a couple times, but with that auto potion, it's not a problem. Thankfully, had the auto potion, otherwise he would have been run over, pretty much. But Cake winning, and with a time of 53 something, which
yeah, so yeah, Cake finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 53:13.
Well,
so
there's
congratulations
always 3s. You wanted 3s, we got 2 of them.
That's near enough there. You should have just waited 20 seconds before dunning to make it even better. But yeah, we'll see if Cake wants to come in for a post-race interview, as Zic here is about to head into the Steel Maggot fight in a moment. Yeah, Zic heading into Steel Maggot here.
Let's see how he does.
Yeah, Cake's PB I think is a 52.08. Now I know he improved it the other day, It used to be 50 to 18, but yeah, he's improved it slightly.
There wailing on the maggot after. Not having great luck with the order here.
Should just still be simple enough from here for Zic to finish up Steel Maggot. They'd be having a unfortunate luck with the button combination here. Hello, Cake. Congratulations on your victory there. A fantastic run.
Hello. How's it going? And thank you.
Yeah, not bad. How do you feel about that run? How do you feel it went?
Well, I feel like I played pretty well. I made a decent amount of movement mistakes and mostly just got lucky with some drops early on to give me an advantage, even though I kind of fell behind early with some clumsy issues. But then later, I made that big mistake in Tanline Temple, got caught by the guards, lost almost a minute. But aside from that, the rest of it went pretty smoothly.
Yeah, some nice boss fights throughout, and yeah, 2 very early monster milks, which is very rare to see, but also very nice.
Yeah, I only wish that would happen more often.
And then
you know.
Yeah, did you get any super monster milks later on, or I don't remember seeing you get any drops of it?
Yeah, I don't think I ever got one. I had 2 monster milks, and then I had to purchase 1 super monster milk. So yeah, I never got a super monster milk drop.
Unfortunate.
But
Yeah.
luckily, the route allows for some adjustments, and I was able to get enough gems that I was able to purchase a monster milk and make that work for Pirate Master, because I'm fairly comfortable playing that boss with, slightly less than optimal items.
Yeah, that's a really good Pirate Master fight. So Zic here just on Lonely Grave now, so he's making really good time actually. I think he might be on PB pace. I think his PB is just over 1 minute, so it's going to be very close to that.
1 hour.
No, 1 minute. I knew what I meant. Yeah, 1 hour, sorry. So yeah, Zic just make his way through Scarecrow Fields now.
Which doesn't have scarecrows anymore, but who's counting?
Does he have a good item build for this?
Yeah,
I think he has enough of everything. Probably with some spares as well.
He actually got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think he got 5 super pipeboard drops and at least 3 super monster milks.
Oh my.
Yeah, every Scorpio except the last one dropped an item.
Yeah, and he killed 3 extras, so that's 4 drops out of 5 Scorp Gals.
That's actually really cool.
So Zic just doing the climb now. Hopefully he can get it without too many issues.
Yeah, there was a bit there on that run up until Tanline Temple where I was feeling like I could PB off of that. And then when I saw the time loss once I got caught, I was like, well, that's probably it.
Yeah, without that time loss, it would have been very, very close to your PB.
Is it coming up on his last little skip here?
And he gets it, no trouble at all. So interested to see if Zic will save here if we go through it. Nope, he's just going for the final boss.
Do you happen to know what his PB is?
I think, let me just bring it up. Look.
Yeah, it looked like he had 6 monster milks left.
Yeah, and he's using a Super Monster Milk, Super Pipe Ball, and Bubble Shield, the ideal setup.
Having a little bit of trouble killing him on these platforms, but should be okay. Oh.
Got to be careful, Ace. He did use his auto potion, but hopefully he should have enough damage to finish him. And he's got luck with lasers. And he's
There
done.
we go. And if his PB is hour 29 seconds, he shattered it by quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, his he finished him with an official SRL time of 1 hour and 1 second. So unfortunately, no threes in there, which is a shame. But it's a very good time indeed.
Well, dang, PB. You don't get one of those every day.
Nope. And of course, his PB will actually be his timer. The SRL time is just for official sake.
Yes, so we'll see if we can bring Zic in for an interview.
And that's always a big step to smash that sub-1 barrier.
As we're waiting for Zic to get in, do you have any final thoughts on the run, Cake?
No, I think it was fun, and I'm just glad that Zic was able to get a PB, and I'm glad that I was able to play a run that was, for the most part, pretty solid. So can't complain about anything.
Hello, Zic. Congratulations on your PB there. I believe it is your first sub 1 hour run, isn't it?
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you. And GG to Cake. It was a good race.
Yeah, GG to you as well, Zic. Congrats on the PB. That's awesome. Sub-1.
Thanks. I didn't think that was happening when I finished Steel Maggot. I was like, I don't think this is going to cut it. So I'm pretty impressed with that.
Well, you got a lot of drop luck, it looked like.
Yeah, I was really
Hello, Zic.
happy
Congratulations
leaving,
on your, PB there.
going
I
into
believe it's your
Tanlan
first
Island.
sub
I
1
had
hour
4
run,
and
isn't it?
4
Yeah,
Super
congrats.
Munch Milks and Super Pike Balls. I was really set on that front.
Yeah, GG to you as well, Zic. Congrats on the PB. That's awesome. Sub-1.
Zic, I believe there's an echo coming from your mic.
Apologies, I can fix that.
That's a lot of Super Monster Milks. I would be spoiled with that.
Okay.
Yeah, do you have anywhere in the run you thought you did particularly well on or particularly badly on?
I felt towards the so I was thinking towards the beginning. I was watching the chat from the restream, so I had an idea of where Cake was. And so at the beginning, I thought I was doing really excellent, and then I messed up once in Run Ready Tops, and I think he took off after that. But I feel like throughout the Tanlan Island and Spiderweb Island, I could have improved a lot.
Yeah, you're keeping Cake honest throughout the opening of that run as well.
I did some dumbs early on in the before Ammo Baron, so I reached Ammo Baron fairly late, but I got a Monster Milk going into Ammo Baron, so that allowed me to catch up a bit. And then I got another Monster Milk on Spittle, the Spittle Maze, and so I was able to use that on Cyclops Plant, which also let me make up some time. So I got a little lucky in the early game. Just not, 3 Super Monster Milk drops or anything like that.
Yeah, you gotta live with what you get, really.
But yeah, neither of us had a death, so that's really good.
Yeah, there's been some unfortunate deaths in this tournament, but this race went nice and smooth. It's always nice to see.
Yeah, deaths in this run are very punishing, so you really want to avoid those. And that's a lot of the time the only thing running through your mind is kind of just like, okay, just whatever we do here, we can't die, because it sets you back quite a bit. And I usually don't take any saves, so
Yeah, I took a couple extra safety saves I don't normally take, just because a lot in my practice lately I've been having some tragic deaths, but my mindset throughout the entire run was, how long can I keep this auto potion? And I kept it all the way to the end. I was so happy.
dude, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
that auto potion is definitely a nice thing that they give you. Otherwise, in fact, I saw an earlier run someone had used it, and then they went and bought another one, and they still ended up dying. So it can be punishing if you just get some bad luck. But you guys did really well.
So yeah, unless anyone has any final comments, I think we can end here.
Just thanks again for the race, Zic, and thank you guys for doing the commentary and the restreaming, and I hope you all have a great day.
Yeah, make sure to follow our runners, Cake and Zic, and also follow my co-commentator here, Melodia.
Not that I stream very much, but you know.
Yeah, thanks for watching, thanks Speed Gaming for hosting, and yeah, congratulations both runners on 2 fantastic runs. We don't have anything else coming up straight away on this channel. In an hour there's an Ori race. I believe there's a Link Passkey Sanity happening over on Speed Gaming about to start, and an NMG race on Speed Gaming 4, so go and watch one of those.
And if you want to see more Shantae, there's 2 races coming up tomorrow. One is at 3 p.m. Eastern, and the other's at 10 p.m. Eastern. So get ready for those. We don't know which channel they're on yet, however, or at least it's not listed in this particular schedule I'm looking at. But I assume most people are subscribed to all 5 Speed Gaming channels. Yes, there are now 5 Speed Gaming, so just keep watch, and I hope everyone enjoys speedrunning times.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Right, thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it.